Hey, look, buddy, I'm an engineer. That means I solve problems. Not problems like, what is beauty? Because that would fall within the purview of your conundrums of philosophy. I solve practical problems.
Hello everyone, I'm Dekky, otherwise known as Tom, otherwise known as Steve, otherwise known as that guy who can't sticky jump. And this is Nommy. Nommy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Nommy. I am the Vocaloid-obsessed Team Fortress 2 player who has zero experience in this episode's feature.
Yep, and this is the PhlogistiCast, the podcast dedicated to all things Team Fortress 2. And this week we're exploring the world of a certain amiable Texan, who has an interesting procedure of constructing things. He hits metal boxes with a wrench repeatedly, and they turn into all kinds of interesting things. Teleporters, big wrenchers. I was about to call it a distributor, because that's what they say in the French version. But no, it's a dispenser. Alright, and with us to explore the world of the engineer is Spencer Dispenser, otherwise known as Snowman on the Steam forums. Snowman, would you like to say a few words?
Hi. It's nice to be here. As I mentioned to you before, the engineer really isn't my true passion in Team Fortress 2, but I've played him more than I'm comfortable admitting, and I really hope I can provide some insightful feedback.
Cool.
Right then.
So, the way this is going to work...
Sorry.
Good. Right, Nommy, do you have any questions for Snowman right off the bat?
Right off the bat, why'd you choose Snowman?
Well, it's a reference to some stupid webcomic I read. That's really all it is, actually. It's not that very complicated.
Which webcomic
Snowman
is
one
that?
of the characters. It's called Homestuck. I don't know if you've ever read it or heard of it.
Oh, you read
but-
Homestuck, okay.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I have
One
a
of the
friend
Snowman
who's...
is one of the characters.
I have a friend who's been following it for a good couple years now.
Power to them, because I can't follow it anymore.
I have
Oh,
engineers in it.
jeez.
It does not have the engineer in
2
it,
minutes, we're
unfortunately.
already off topic. That must be a
Okay.
record.
That's what happens when you say off the bat, what do you want to ask? I'm terrible with spontaneous questioning.
Uh-huh. So why did
That's why
you
I'm a
decide to
journalist.
make a talk show then?
Because I had nothing better to do. Well, unfortunately, I'm actually leaving next week. This is my final week because life's starting to get ahead of me. Life's starting to get a bit hectic, so I have to retire so soon in my career.
Yeah, in case you missed that, viewers, Nommy is leaving, and this is probably going to be her last episode with us.
I will probably be a guest every now and then, but otherwise I will just stick to either editing every now and then or making a couple of pictures for the show. So
Yep,
at the end of the episode, I'll say a little goodbye to you guys.
Well, it's an honor to be here for the last episode. With you in it, at least.
Third.
Well, I'm honoured to meet Mr. Snowman, so...
Aw.
Yes. Alright, so, engineer,
Right.
it's you. Okay, what do you think of the
yeah.
engineer in-game and as a character? Like, what sort of aspects of him appeal to you, and what parts of his persona could be improved on, do you think?
Well, as for, what appeals to me, he's definitely like one of the more laid-back, easygoing characters. I mean, he has a taunt where he just sits down in a chair and drinks beer, which is pretty nice. That's the life we all want to live, right? And I guess he's definitely all of his domination lines are really good. Just making fun of the other people with a bunch of his accent is great, and I guess the sort of laid-back, easygoing personality really appeals to someone who's laid-back and easygoing, like myself.
And are there any parts of him that you don't like so much?
His smile in the class portrait is kind of creepy. Other than that, though, that's really it. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, he needs more. He needs more cowboy hats. He needs at least 6 more cowboy hats. I don't. Absolutely.
Do you have an obsession with cowboy hats?
Cowboys are cool.
They are very cool.
I think the best thing they added so far was the Walter White Breaking Bad hat.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad, so I wouldn't be able to relate.
The danger.
My granddad is into Breaking Bad, so he'd know all about it.
It's an awesome looking hat.
Alright.
Alright, I have a question, because there's a lot of people who, generally when it comes to miscs, or unusuals, or hats, taunts, anything like that, they're all very stuck with, say, 3 or 4 hats. They shuffle between 3, or they use one hat all the time. What do you prefer for engineer? What's your favourite hat, misc, possibly? Do you use unusuals on your classes? Let's go into the accessory side.
Well, that's my favorite part. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the movie. It's called John Carpenter's The Thing, but it's probably my favorite movie of all time. And recently, I think like 2 updates ago, they added these items for the engineer that were based on that movie. It's the Antarctic Researcher and the Scotch Saver are both items that are referenced from that movie. And I wear it together with a hat, which also looks like a character from that movie's hat. I think the hat is called, let me look it up real quick. It's called the... Oh man, where is it?
The nameless hat.
Oh man, what the heck? I'm having a real... Oh, the old geezer.
Ah, the old geezer.
So I have an unusual old geezer, and its unusual effect is I think it's blizzardy storm, which is nice because the whole movie is set in Antarctica.
It's a good setup.
Yeah, so my engineer looks like the character from the movie, and it's always snowing on him.
And it's Snowman, so that works.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Alright, so now we're going to move on to engineers' weapons. So I'm just going to throw a bunch of weapon names at you, and can you please tell us what you think of them?
Sure.
Alright, we'll start with everyone's absolute favourite, the Thompson 6000.
The Thompson 6000 is, to put it in the least offensive way I can think of, a pile of garbage. I really don't like it. They did the whole, they gave everybody space guns, so yeah, give the engineer a space gun, that makes sense. But, and it looks really silly. That's the first issue I have with it. It looks really dumb. It looks like a shark or something. It's got that fin. It's brightly colored and obnoxious and doesn't really feel okay in terms of like the game's art style and everything, which I guess might have been the point, but it's not a point I like. Whoops. And then they'll get to its stats. Its stats are just mean. It's not a nice weapon.
Could you explain, please, what it does?
So it shoots these laser projectiles instead of normal bullets like all the other shotguns, and they travel in a straight line. They don't have any, arc or anything like the Rescue Ranger does. But they deal like it's kind of like the Righteous Bison, I think, where it deals damage if it hits people, and it will pass through them and deal damage for like each tick, which I don't know how long a tick is, but each couple of seconds it's touching somebody, it'll damage them. And then if they get hit by it, if they're a medic, they lose 10% of their uber charge, and if they're a spy, they lose 20% of their cloak, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
And really annoys medics.
Really annoys medics, yeah. I can understand giving the engineer a gun that hurts spies, or that helps him be better against spies, but not medics.
Yeah, the Uber part makes no sense.
Yeah, the Uber part doesn't make any sense to me. Also, it sets huntsman arrows on fire.
I've seen that.
Has infinite ammo, and the projectiles can't be reflected. which is pretty. It does a lot of things, and it's really confusing. It also, not in the stat box, but it has a really weird hitboxes. There are some really good demonstration videos on YouTube of people trying out the Thompson 6000 hitboxes and just showing how kind of big they are. And when it crits, it does bad things when it crits.
Okay.
I don't like it.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm gonna make a suggestion real quick. Why don't we do it? A quick fire. That you say a name and he has to say the first word that comes into his head. Depending on...
Yeah, that sounds good.
See what you think.
Alright, here's your favorite. Frontier Justice.
Gunslinger? I never see people use one without the other.
Oh, I'm one of those people who doesn't. I hate the mini sentry. Drives me crazy.
I hate it too. Oddly enough, my friend who's sitting here with me, he loves the mini sentry. And the Frontier Justice. So, I mean, those two have really obvious synergy that work really well together. And I don't use the Frontier Justice myself, but I understand it does the same damage as the shotgun. It's the same fire rate, has the same reload speed. The only thing it has is that smaller clip size. That's not really a big deal, always. And 3 shotgun shots is enough to kill most classes from decent close range, but it's a very good weapon if you plan on your sentry dying a lot.
That'll be me then.
Right. Not necessarily something everybody plans on having happen to them.
Well, basically,
I planned for that.
I put it in the most obvious place, get as many kills as possible, and then go on a rampage. It's much more fun that way.
Yep. Alright, how about the Gunslinger? What do you think of that?
I'm gonna go with needs a rework.
Why?
A lot of people, and this is like the thing that divides the TF2 community, is whether you like the Gunslinger or you don't like the Gunslinger. I think most people don't like it though. But the thing is, it's pretty. If you look at it, it's pretty lame. Like it doesn't do anything that spectacular. It's really annoying. And people already don't like Engineer for how much he has the potential to slow down a game. And so when you give him something that costs, he can produce, he can make 2 mini sentries before needing to get more ammo, metal. Sorry. And you give him something that's just totally disposable that can still kill, a good amount of classes if they're unaware or if they're just unlucky enough to walk near it. It still has that good knockback that sentries do. It rotates, it turns faster than the normal sentry, so scouts can't just sort of run around it. And you can put them anywhere you can put a normal sentry. They build twice as fast, and it's like dividing your character. If you're the engineer, you basically put down something else that deals damage really quickly, and then you can run off and still shoot people. You still have a gun. So it gives that sort of combat prowess or combat or like battlefield presence that an engineer really doesn't normally have, and it makes it feel really weird to me.
Yeah, the Gunslinger always gave me the feeling that it gives the engineer an element of attack that he doesn't normally have.
He doesn't really need.
Yeah, he doesn't really need it. With a regular sentry, you have to constantly be monitoring it and that kind of thing. But with a mini sentry, you can just sort of plonk it down and walk away. Like, people can't really see it at first. You kind of miss it as you're going by.
You can put it in a bush, and people might not even see it.
Yeah, you can put it in these little hidey holes. People don't see these things. So they could just walk past, not allowed, with the flamethrower going, well, hey, this is found dead. And then the engineer's killing other people.
So next weapon, which I believe you have a bit to say about, is the Rescue Ranger.
Rescue Ranger, yeah. Again, another thing people really seem to talk a lot about. I don't use it. That doesn't mean it's bad though. But it's kind of a neat weapon. A lot of people are saying like, oh, it's the most powerful engineer weapon ever, or people are like, oh, it's the most underwhelming engineer weapon ever. And I'm sort of in the underwhelming camp. I don't think it's like, I've never seen it used to the effect that people who like it seem to say it has. I've never seen somebody, sentry jump across the map, right, pick up their sentry with the rescue ranger, which is what it allows you to do, and then just land somewhere, put up the sentry, and kill the entire team. I don't see it making highlight reels, but I understand why it's good.
Okay. So you mentioned sentry jumping there.
Oh yeah.
That's possible with something called the Wrangler. Would you like to explain that a little bit?
Wrangler is like the other big engineer weapon. The engineer has a lot of controversial weapons, I think. The Wrangler is basically a secondary weapon. It's a laser pointer, I think is what the game calls it. And you pull it out, and you'll notice that there's a big team-colored shield that comes up around your sentry, and that gives it bonus health. Basically, the shield absorbs some damage before your sentry actually gets hurt. And then you also have the ability to manually control where your sentry looks and fires, which can be a really nice thing sometimes. The other thing you can do with it, obviously, is you control both the machine guns and the rocket launcher on your sentry if it's level 3. So if you point your Wrangler at your feet and shoot a rocket, you can effectively rocket jump as the engineer.
I've never tried it.
You should try it. It's pretty excellent.
Yeah, but as Dekky said, shooting rockets at your feet's a bit dangerous.
Yeah, it might be a bit painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like surviving a game with my feet intact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does do a lot of damage to you. I think it does about half your health.
And then you've got to take in full damage as well.
Yeah.
If you go far enough.
I mean, that's how sentry jumping is how people get to those weird places like on Badwater until they patched it, that one roof that everybody knows about.
I don't.
And then there's that one roof, and then that's how people get to like these on Egypt. I think there was like a point where you could get on top of this big arch, and engineers would always go up there and build their teleporter exit and put their sentry and their dispenser up there and just sort of kill everybody because it's such a weird position, and people don't like to look up or down in this game. So
that is the best thing about Team Fortress 2. In I think it's called I don't remember what it's called. There's a very indoor map, but it's got 3 control points, and it's all indoor and closed in, and you're just basically hugging each other as you go down the hallways. And I can never remember the name of it.
Is that Junction?
That's it, Junction. Well, in Junction you can.
It's a miserable map. I really don't like it. It's a
miserable map. You can place stickies on the ceiling of each point. Nobody notices, and they will explode, and you save the point.
Yeah. Yep.
Straying off topic. Excuse me.
It's such a unique map. There aren't many other maps like Junction, and it's not a good thing. There are a reason there aren't more maps like Junction.
Okay. There was just one more specific weapon I wanted to ask you about, the short circuit.
Ooh.
How do you like that?
I don't even know anymore. They've changed it so much recently. I'm not even sure what it does right now. Or if it's like how it used to be. But basically before this, I think it was July 10th update last year, the short circuit was a pretty bad weapon. It cost like 15 metal to fire, I think, and it would shoot out this little arc of electricity that if there was a rocket or a sticky bomb or a grenade launcher pipe or a huntsman arrow or some other kind of projectile coming at you, you could shoot the short circuit and that electricity would jump out and blow up the projectile and nothing would happen. It would just sort of fizzle and go away. Then, I think on the July 10th update, they changed it so it shot really fast, didn't consume metal, and didn't consume as much metal, sorry, and it was just crazy. There was a good video of some guy, he was playing Man vs. Machine by himself, and he gave a giant robot the Valve rocket launcher, and he had the short circuit, And so this robot with the valve rocket launcher came out and started shooting at him, and he just had the short circuit, and he just killed the robot with the short circuit.
I'm sorry, just 2 seconds. I have to go tell my brother that the headlights of his car are on.
Alright.
And
That is
so
insane.
yeah, and so now I don't even know what it does. I haven't used it. I know they nerfed it. Sounds like Charlie Brown's parents in the background there. Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, we've got a running joke going that every time one of our family members is heard in the background, that it's a pyro sneaking around. Because that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Someone says something, my whole family has to come have a look. Anyway.
Where were we?
We were talking about the short circuit.
Oh yeah.
We were, yeah. Oh, alright. Yeah, like I said, I'm not even sure what it does anymore.
Well, I'll tell you because I've used it quite a bit recently. I believe it still uses up 5 metal per shot, but it fires so fast that you use metal up quite quickly. Like, if you're not near a dispenser, it'll run out in 13 seconds or something like that.
Right. All I know is that you could just totally shut down a soldier or a demo man while using it.
Not to mention
unless
it's right off.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a soldier who had the gunboats or just any demo man, they don't have hit scan weapons, so they were just screwed. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And of course you get those occasional engineers that think they're invincible because they have the short circuit, they're running at a soldier, and then you pull out your shotgun and just sort of
Melt their faces. To put it lightly.
Then what happens is they get shot by a scout.
Mm-hmm. Oh. But yeah, the short circuit, like, it's not something I see myself using a lot. I'm lame and I use the pistol. But, you know, the short circuit, it looks really cool. And it used to be pretty interesting. I don't... Like, were you around for when it used to be crazy? I think this was...
Yeah.
This was December 20th of last year is when that patch came out.
I've been around for about 2 years, so I do remember that, yes.
So you were there.
Yes,
And
I
have
was
you
there.
used it recently? Is it anything like that?
I
anymore?
never actually owned a short circuit. I just remember going against someone who had one. And I thought...
Would you like one? 'Cause I
not
won't be
really.
using mine much longer.
The only weapons I use for engineer are sometimes the Wrangler, sometimes the Gunslinger, and the Frontier Justice. That is it for me. Don't need any more.
Well, I tend to use the Widowmaker or the short circuit, but never both, because they both use metal as ammo.
Right.
And the spiky wrench, the Southern Hospitality, I believe it's called.
Southern Hospitality is pretty nice.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I take that back. I've been using the Jag lately, just to build stuff quicker.
The jug.
The Jag is kind of weird in that I'm pretty sure it's glitched and it doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
Oh, actually it does, from what I could see. But I
Yeah.
tested it.
Supposedly it has what 30% faster building construction.
30% faster building construction and minus 25% damage.
Right, but the thing is, it only really does it by 15% because when you're hitting your building with the wrench, it increases the construction rate already. When you're hitting your building with the wrench, it increases it to 120%, so that the 30% faster, because it's 120%, translates to 15.79% according to TF2 Wiki. When it's really noticeable is when you're building dispensers. Those build really fast.
I actually found it was less noticeable with the dispenser.
Oh, well, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I
Maybe.
watch this stuff. And I'm just sitting there like clicking a million times on my sentry gun, trying to get it to build fast. It's an old like StarCraft thing where if you clicked on your building over and over again, it made it look like your building was building faster.
Anyway, I think we've got some more questions to move on to. So.
Great.
Yeah, do you have anything you want to ask, Nommy?
Well, I was actually, because I was thinking there's a lot of weapons like the Jag. I was actually going to mention that. where there's a ratio of it takes off damage, but it does something a bit more useful, or possibly. Do you think it's more useful, or would you rather have the additional damage?
As an engineer, I find myself hitting my opponents with my melee weapon barely ever. So I will take whatever bonuses I can get, because I never really hit people with the wrench. If somebody is close enough to me that I can hit them with the wrench, I'll just shoot them with the shotgun. That's pretty much it. That's how I feel about a lot of melee weapons in this game.
I'm not a melee fighter myself.
It's like I use the disciplinary action on the soldier
Oh,
because I never really hit people with my melee weapon. I'll just, if they're that close to me, I'll pull out the shotgun.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, if you didn't notice, most of my solutions to problems in this game involve pulling out the shotgun and shooting somebody.
Yeah.
it's the
You
best
sound like a
way.
really good engineer.
Oh, no, I don't want to say anything like that. 'Cause
I will say, I actually tend to use the Southern Hospitality a lot to hit people, because, like, it's a spiky wrench, right, and it's got this bonus feature that when you hit an enemy with it, it causes a bleed effect for 5 seconds. So, it's a bit like Afterburn, they take damage afterwards, and you can see little red droplets falling off them, and
of
it's really
course.
helpful because it works on cloaked spies.
And the great thing is,
So-
when they start bleeding, they immediately think, oh crap, we have to go get health. Because they don't know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people aren't aware of how long these things last. So the first thing they think of is, I'm gonna die now, let's go get health, and it leaves you like 5 seconds to rebuild your dispenser or your teleporter or whatever it was they're trying to destroy.
Exactly, they're a trait, and then if
Absolutely.
they're a spy and they're trying to cloak or something, the rest of your team can still see them and pick them off, because they're bleeding everywhere.
Mhm. But if I'm playing on a no crit server, I will use the Southern Hospitality because one of its downsides is that it can't random crit. But on a no crit server, that
Doesn't matter.
downside doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
it just becomes basically a straight upgrade. I think the other downside is you have fire damage vulnerability.
Yeah, but it
20%.
makes no difference.
You're an engineer. When is a pyro going to be close enough to kill you?
Yeah, and if he is,
Exactly.
you're gonna die anyway.
Right.
No
Sort of
matter
an
what the damage
inevitability.
penalty is.
Because to be honest, Engineer versus Pyro does not mix. It's not a good fighting position.
Not a matchup you want to have on
No.
either side, unless you're the pyro.
Yeah, if you're the Pyro, bloody hell, great. But if you're the Engineer, you are...
Unless that sentry's still around.
Oh yeah, if your sentry's still up and this Pyro doesn't know about it, fantastic.
Yeah, I'll use the Southern Hospitality on no crit servers, but otherwise it's the Jag. Probably because I have a cool skin for the Jag. So.
The only
Right.
skin I've got is the medic skin for the Son of Val, the spy head.
That's pretty nice.
It would be brilliant if it spoke at you, but it doesn't, so I'm not interested anymore.
So then it would just say kill me over and over again.
Yeah, if your hit sound was kill me, and then the medic just says later, that would be
Yeah, it could
brilliant.
get boring. Potentially.
Well,
Anyway, I think it's almost time to move on. But Snowman, just very quickly, do you have any tips or little pieces of advice for newer players?
Well, what I always tell people when they want to know how to play engineer is like, remember that you have a gun. A lot of people seem to forget
Yes.
engineers that they have shotguns, and the shotgun is a great weapon. It does a lot of damage, and at close range, the shotgun is one of the more effective weapons in the game. And I guess to sum it all up nicely, I'd say don't underestimate your combat potential, because everybody else is going to. If you see a lone engineer, you're like, oh, he's probably lost or looking for ammo, or not going to shoot me in the face. So when you do shoot him in the face, they go whoa, and they get surprised, and you get a free kill.
Awesome.
I have one quick question before we move on. What is the worst thing that your pet peeve for engineers?
People taking my ammo. I hate when you have a nest up, you have your dispenser, and it's in a good spot. It's like behind a wall near the front lines. It's not right there. It's not going to get blown up. And then you're running towards an ammo pack, and a scout just comes running from behind a wall and just picks up the ammo and runs away. And you're like, buddy, that was my ammo. What do you... People just don't understand the engineers need ammo more than everybody else. But
I think by far
I also don't like it when...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you first.
Oh, I also don't like it when other engineers build near me. Like if we're playing Capture the Flag on like Turbine, and I put my sentry gun in that hallway right out in front of the intelligence room with the elevated platform and the window that turns right and then turns out into the center room. And I build my sentry gun in the corner there. Somebody just puts their sentry gun right next to mine. Like, oh, this won't get us killed at all. No way. 2-for-1 sentry kills. It's I don't know what people are thinking sometimes.
I think the worst one for me by far is when you've just been killed and your sentry's still up but it's taking damage, and there's an engineer standing directly next to it hitting a dispenser.
No.
Just
Yep.
Can you take like
that.
3 seconds to just hit mine twice? To just like, just fix it a bit. Would it be that hard? But instead they're standing there like hitting a teleporter exit that's at level 3 already. Just like, can you help?
Yep.
It's like the snipers with the glass again.
Oh yeah.
I love those people that try to shoot through the glass. I just sort of like to stand there and watch.
I was wondering if you'd get that
gotta
reference from a previous...
I gotta be wondering what they're thinking. It's like, what the heck? Why aren't I hitting him? I'm shooting him right in the head. Why aren't I hitting this guy?
I think first of all they're used to different games where you can shoot through glass, and also, like most of the windows in the game have wire mesh in them that you can see very clearly when you're scoped in. So
To be honest,
maybe
I think...
they can't see that.
I think that deep down it's just a small amount of complete ignorance. Just a little bit. But there you go.
Alright. I think
Newcomers
it's time
do
to
that.
move on.
Yes.
So thank you very much for coming on, Snowman.
No problem.
Just sit around, we might ask you for your opinion later on something, because we have some interesting news to report. We have 2 new maps and they're in beta mode, which means they're being changed a lot. Now, one of them is very interesting, the other one is a bit less interesting, but still a worthy map, so we're going to talk about both of them. Now, these were introduced just after we recorded episode 2, like a couple of days after. That was the Scout episode, where Abacus discussed with us the idea of a moon-based map, because on the TF2 website, they'd made a blog post about a moon-based concept, so, a map that might have low gravity, it's set in space, and everyone's floating around in this big, spaceport. And one of the maps is basically that concept, but made into an actual, an entirely new game mode, actually. So, do you want to talk about that first, or Cactus Canyon?
Shall we start with the smaller one first? Would you like me to?
Technically, Asteroid is smaller, but...
True. Okay, would you like to talk about the one that has less features first? Making it awkward.
You're going to talk about that one?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Would you like me to?
Alright, go
Okay.
ahead.
The map in question is a new payload map called Cactus Canyon. It is as obviously a deserty map. It has cactuses. Actually, as far as I can remember, it has no cacti, which is kind of disappointing. But on the other hand, guaranteed they would make it that you touch it and you take damage, and people would just kill themselves on it. So it's probably for the best. The map is a very straightforward payload map. It leads through a windy, deserty area with abandoned buildings to the sides that you can enter, and as always, and a lot of very interesting sentry spots. But there's also a lot of sniper spots that are very useful, and not to mention, it is actually very difficult. I tried to be Frontier Justice Engineer on this map for 2 hours the other day, just to freshen up a little bit, and the spy impact is completely relentless. you get spies from one direction, the other direction, behind you, in front of you. It's a little bit of a mess, but because it's beta, I'll give them a bit of credit. And it's a good map and needs some work.
It might be worth noting that it's a 3-stage payload map, as in it's like 3 points. It's sort of like Gold Rush, in that you capture 1 point, you advance to the next section of the map, capture another point, advance to the next section, and then so on and so on. It's not like Badwater.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that, but I had to.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just leave little breaks just in case I have to edit some stuff out.
Right.
It's helpful having little gaps of emptiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll admit, I haven't played much on these maps, because I saw, hey, check out this beta map, and I'm like, oh, I'll check it out when it's a finished map.
You're one of those people, eh?
I was like, this can only end with something really silly, like somebody discovers a bug where you can build under the world.
Yep.
And then, sure enough, day 2.
They had that on Cactus Canyon.
Yep. It was the most exploited bug I've seen in so long. The funny thing is, though, you have to jump off the edge to get into the gap, but you can walk straight out of a rock and just walk out onto the map, nice and casually.
They fixed it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they fixed it pretty much the next day, which is quite a relief because it's very hard to play a map when there's a sentry you can't destroy.
6 sentries I saw in one video.
Oh my god. I don't think I'd be able to handle that. I'd probably just switch servers and hope.
There's also this one choke point, I think, on the 2nd stage,
Oh my
where
goodness me.
the cart just goes through a door. That's it.
It's
And
like a little tunnel, isn't it? It's just this tiny little tunnel. It is the smallest choke point I have ever seen in Team Fortress 2.
it's worse than Hoodoo. It's worse than that one on Badwater towards the end. It's brutal.
This is
getting
literally
through there is hard.
This is literally the only way between the 2 points. You can't go round in any pathways. You can't sticky jump over it. You literally have to just go through this little tiny corridor as an entire team. It is hard.
It's rough.
But hopefully they might fix that. I mean, it's been beta after all.
I might actually play it after this, because they might have fixed it already.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. Right.
It was updated 2 days ago.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it yet. Which is helpful considering we're doing a podcast about it. We are
Okay, they beta maps, they get
efficient.
updated all the time. We can't keep up with all this news. Ommy, is it
Yes.
time to move on to the other map?
I think so, yes. On to you,
Excellent.
Dekky.
Right, here we go. Now, that was Cactus Canyon, payload. The other map is RD Asteroid. Now, RD stands for Robot Destruction, and it's actually a completely new game mode. So, it's not like MVM, so if you haven't played it yet, get that idea out of your heads. The way Robot Destruction works is, on this map anyway, you have 2 bases, so both teams are attacking, and defending, I guess. And in each base there are 3 pairs of robots, A robots, B robots, and C robots. And they have to be destroyed in a systematic order to get points. So you have to kill the A robots before the B robots and so on. And while there's an A robot still going, the B and C robots are ubercharged, or they look like they're ubercharged. So they can't be destroyed or take damage until that A robot is down. And when you kill these robots, they explode and shower you with little battery type pieces. I'm not sure what the official name is. Cores or batteries or something. And you collect these for points for your team. Okay. So basically you're gonna have people coming between the bases attacking. You'll have people like engineers probably stationed in the bases defending those robots, making sure they don't get, smashed.
Oh dear.
Also, at the back end of both bases, there is a special reactor core which serves as an intelligence briefcase at the moment. So if you steal it, you also get points for your team. Trouble is, once you grab it, it's very hard to get back out of the base, because there's a big laser trap in the way with 3 moving lasers. Although I think in the latest update, they might have added a little tunnel to get out of there.
The little tunnel's been there from the start. It's a little ventilation shaft that you can go up the side. But it's quite difficult getting in and out of there because generally there's people watching each end.
Yeah, and it is quite tight, like you have to crouch to get into the entrance. And some people have trouble crouching for whatever reason, I've noticed.
I think that covers the map completely, doesn't it? Pretty much.
No.
Well, no, I mean that covers the basic story of what happens.
What happens is there's like 6 engineers and 6 scouts.
Yeah, basically.
That's the game.
I want to try that.
I actually went on the server once, and there were, honest to God, my team consisted of 6 scouts.
Yep.
And I went pyro because there was always that pit of doom at the bottom floor, and I would basically camp next to it and just air blast all the scouts into the hole.
As someone who played it on day 1 and hasn't played it since, it was pretty confusing. It was really just kind of bewildering. I had no idea what was going on. I noticed that the sniper weapons deal like 3 times normal damage to robots for some reason. So I just ran around gunning them down with the SMG the whole time. And the map was really confusing too. It was like CP Steel tier confusing.
Oh dear.
But it was really cool. It was a really cool concept. The idea of like simultaneously protecting your own robots and killing the other teams was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The map layout didn't really support the game very well though.
Yeah, it was a bit mazy. I think it would have been better though if it wasn't released as beta, if it was just fine-tuned and then released.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I don't really subscribe to this whole beta thing.
Yeah, even though bringing the community in to help is a good idea, it doesn't work in some games. Like Minecraft, it worked because Minecraft's a development game and it's constantly being updated. But with things like Team Fortress 2, even though it's being updated all the time, it's not an environment where you sort of do whatever you want. You've got tasks and missions and all that kind of thing. And it's best to stick to that kind of thing. Because if we're going to the side and we're testing beta maps, then next we're going to be thinking, well, can we test beta weapons and all that kind of thing, and that's just going to go crazy.
Yeah, that's not a world I want to live in.
I don't think we need beta weapons that might accidentally one-hit kill, no matter what you hit.
I feel like the short circuit was kind of a beta weapon, with all the changes they did to it in such a short time.
Right. Yeah, the thing is, I think, not necessarily for Cactus Canyon, but for Asteroid, like, maybe they needed to have it beta tested because, first of all, they're testing a new game mode, which may or may not work in other maps.
I don't know if you guys remember the last new game mode they added, but...
What, MVM?
Was it?
MVM?
No, I was talking about Special Delivery.
Oh, right. Oh dear, Special Delivery. Nobody plays Special Delivery.
I don't play that much.
It's kind of a mess.
I haven't played Special Delivery in about 6 months? I don't even know. When was it released? I don't even remember.
Pyromania update?
Oh, that's right.
That was a while ago now.
To be honest, I didn't even know it was released when the Pyromania update came out. Everybody was fixated on the Pyro. Nobody even noticed the new map type. They were like, yay, game mode. Wait, where are you guys? Hello? Empty maps all around.
I'm over here not killing anybody with a scorch shot.
Oh, we'll have to talk about a lot in the Pyro episode.
Yep. Alright.
Back
on topic. What I was trying to get at is these guys are testing an entirely new game mode, but they may also be testing for something else later on. You see, people have raised the question of a low-gravity map on all servers, and Abacus talked about this with the moon-based concept. Now currently the Asteroid map doesn't have any low-grav features, except in certain parts of the map, you can see little sprite rocks floating past,
Yeah.
completely weightless, especially at the entrances to each base. So, I think it's possible that the developers are testing low gravity concepts after they get the robot destruction thing nailed. Because testing for low gravity and the new game mode at once would probably be really inefficient.
Well, I think it would be a good idea to do that, but on the other hand though, if you're going to be testing low gravity, you want to test it in the company, so that if there is a flaw, then it doesn't affect how people see the game mode. Otherwise, it's just a mess.
Yeah,
I think
but
it's
then-
kind of a confusing move, because they closed the actual Team Fortress 2 beta like a year ago.
Yeah, if they were doing it in the
But
Team Fortress 2 beta, then that would have been great, because that way they can test it themselves. But because it's in the actual Team Fortress 2 itself.
Kind of a confusing move.
Anyway, so just to finish up the show, what do you two think about low gravity? Like, could it work on maps like this?
No.
No?
No.
Why not?
The reserve shooter is a weapon. That's really it. We don't need more situations where the reserve shooter is powerful.
Okay, I can kind of see that. From an engineer's point of view, this does look like it's just going to sort of be the worst idea. Because he could jump off a ledge. He could sentry jump all the way up to the top of the map and then just pick up his sentry. Of course, he's slowly
Yep.
floating around. I think we've probably got a picture of that somewhere. It'll probably pop up eventually.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I can tell you, as a person who uses the reserve shooter, when I go on a low-grav server, it's just like it's like playing Duck Hunt on the NES. You're just sort of like gracefully floating by your crosshair really slowly, and you just blast them for mini crits.
Yeah.
And the moral for Team Fortress 2? Please don't put in low gravity. We will die over and over to snipers, to sentries, to rockets and stickies and crits and everything. Like we always do, just with low gravity. Please don't.
That's the other thing, actually. I also calculated the base jumper would, it would be up in the air for, air in quotation marks, for about 60% longer than on not low gravity maps.
Ouchie.
So if you're using the base jumper to float down, you're in the air for over twice as long. And that gives snipers a lot more opportunity to get that achievement for, you know, blasting their brains out of a paratrooper.
Okay, I take that back. Put it in, but only so I can snipe people in midair. Because that is one thing I haven't got down yet.
Yeah.
Okay, I think
Right.
that should be enough for the,
I think that's it. So, we've got a bit of a special outro now, because, as we mentioned before, this is probably, highly likely, Nommy's last episode as a host.
Yes, unfortunately, I will have to depart.
And I think she deserves a big round of applause for all the editing work she's done, and the recording.
Just for the record, I'm not going to edit in. Why, thank you. Just
No
as
problem.
Just as a heads up, the host who will be replacing me will be the medic who was featured in the first episode. She will be doing the hosting, she will be doing interviews, and all around will be doing basically my job. So I hope you guys like her, because if you don't, then I'll be back to beat you up.
And I hope you guys like me, because I'll be sticking around, and even if you don't like me, I don't care. Oh, I do, but not that much.
And if you didn't like Snowman, he'll come at you with a short circuit.
What do you mean? How can people not like Snowman?
Exactly. He's
I
a
know,
snowman,
right? How
and he's
can
an
people not like me?
he's a snowman and an engineer mixed into one. He's a Snowgineer. How can you not like that?
Oh dear.
Yeah, I know.
And on that note, I think it's time to end the episode.
I would
Alright,
like
thank
to.
you all very much for listening.
I would like to say thank you to Mr. Snowman here.
Oh, no
And-
problem.
I'm glad you came on, and we hope to see you again at some point for another episode.
Oh, I'd love to.
Man versus Machine, I believe, we have you lined up for.
Yes. And
Spoilers.
hopefully in the next week, as an update real quick, hopefully in the next week, maybe a few, I might be able to pop on to give you guys a little hand, and we might be hosting some silly little Team Fortress 2 games, just as a heads up.
Ooh.
We'll keep you posted on that.
More info on that next week. You'll be hearing from that. You'll be hearing about that from Medic.
Right, thank you all for listening. Remember that Team Fortress 2 is a free-to-play game available on Steam, and Steam is itself a free download. So, it's all free, it's all good. Get playing. See you around.